The way we construct our teams in Hockey Ultimate Team has changed. NHL 26 has introduced a ton of new mechanics when it comes to actually constructing our rosters, and when it comes to everything new in this year's version of HUT, this is your complete guide. Whether you are brand new to the franchise or a 10-year vet to HUT, by the end of this video, you're going to know everything that you need to do to set yourself up in Hockey Ultimate Team. Now, when you fire up NHL 26 for the first time, you will be tasked with picking your favorite NHL franchise. This is going to have a small impact on your HUT team. You will be given their jerseys for the home and away, as well as the logo for your favorite team, and a player. It is not going to be super impactful, so just make sure you pick your favorite team here. But if you do make a mistake and pick the Montreal Canadiens, all you need to do is go to the main menu, go to settings, and then down to favorite team. You just have to make sure you do this and select your favorite team before you enter into Hockey Ultimate Team for the first time and build your squad. All right, when you're ready and you've fired up Hockey Ultimate Team for the first time, you're met with the new menu screen. We've already seen the Season 1 heroes and icons, but the icons do have animated card art. Sergei Fedorov looks awesome. All right, so then you've got to enter in your team name. Once you've got your team name and the abbreviation, it's time to open up the Captain's Pack. So this is new to NHL 26. You are not going to get a random starter pack team with all of the players that you're going to throw in your lineup. More on that in just a little bit. But you will get to pick your first captain. So we'll go ahead and open up the captain pack. Now, there are a lot of changes in NHL 26 Hockey Ultimate Team, I promise. Unfortunately, same pack animation, though. So our first four captains that we can pick from are Jonas Brodin from the Minnesota Wild, Patrik Laine, as well as Mackenzie Weegar and Anders Lee. Now, again, these are actually pretty impactful. As you can see, there is a requirement to activate. You will need to put 6 players from the corresponding division. So, Mackenzie Weegar, for example, if you put 5 other Pacific Division players in your lineup, you will get a +5 ability point limit boost, which is massive. So, if you are building a theme team, and you know that you are going to go after a lot of players from the same team, then make sure that you go with the corresponding captain. If you are looking for the best start and you're wondering what is going to give you the most competitive edge, I will have a video that will go over the best start from a team build standpoint, and the captains will matter. Now, taking a look at each captain just from how impactful it'll be in-game, Jonas Brodin at 6'2", 196, the left-handed defenseman, has Specialist Quick Pick. Again, the gold X Factor abilities, those are actually the lowest tier now in NHL 26. There is 3 tiers of X Factor abilities. This would be the lowest rung. He's got 86 speed and acceleration, as well as 85 agility. Endurance is at 81. His shot, pretty abysmal. His hand stats are rough. Deking is only 81. Body checking is 79. However, he does have 87 defensive awareness and stick checking, 2 of the more important stats for defensemen. Your next option is Patrik Laine for the Atlantic. He's got Specialist 1T. And again, if you want to know what all the new abilities are and my opinions on them, I have a specific ability video that you can go and check out. Patrik Laine has 85 speed, 83 acceleration. So for someone who's 6'4", decent speed. His shot is in the mid-80s. Hand stats are at 85, essentially, with 85 deking. And then defensively, he's a pretty big liability. But at 6'4" with 85 speed, that's actually not bad. Taking a look at Anders Lee, the left-handed winger at 6'3", 231, has Specialist Big Tipper. Not one of the more impactful abilities. It's fun, but not one that you're going to need to activate. 84 speed and excel, so again, kind of on that middle range. Has 85 body checking, which is nice and good size. And then lastly, Mackenzie Weegar, who is actually a very good card to start your team out with, regardless of the captain bonuses. At 6', 206, he's got Specialist Warrior, which is not all that great of an ability. It's kind of the direct counter to Truculence, but we'll have to wait and see how many players actually get Truculence. He's got 88 speed, 85 acceleration, as well as 85 defensive awareness and stick checking. Just a very well-rounded right-handed defenseman. And since I'm also a Sharks fan and want to put some Sharks in my lineup, easy pick here for me. Mackenzie Weegar's a great card. So we'll go ahead and lock that in. And now we've got our first captain for Season 1. Now, like I mentioned, there's no starter pack. So you just load in and you're right in the new menu screen. There are some things that you're going to have to get used to when it comes to the menu system, but to access your team, you just tab over a few times from any screen and you can go to edit lineup. So what happens is you get starter pack players. These are players that are far lower than their actual base card overalls. none of them are going to be very good at all. And the team that you select will give you a 78 overall player item. For the San Jose Sharks, we got Alexander Wenberg. I wouldn't be too hung up on this. I wouldn't worry about picking the team that has the best 78 overall player. It will be the same every time that you make a team and you have a favorite team selected. But again, you're going to replace almost all of these players within the first day or so. Now, this is an early access build, but let's dive into the new edit lineup screen. They adapted the wildcard format from last year, but cleaned it up a little bit. The first thing we'll take note of is the captain that you have selected. So every season, we are going to get new captain drops. I selected Mackenzie Weegar for this example, and as you can see, I've got enough Pacific Division player items to actually get the +5 ability points limit boost. Now, to switch your players around, again, you just select the player and you can substitute him with any other card that you have available to you. You won't have any bench items. And then if you want to make quick swaps, you just hit square on each one and square again, and you will be able to switch up your lines. Now, the biggest part of team building in NHL 26 is definitely the new line combination system. So if you hit right trigger, it'll pull up the new line combination screen. How this will work is if you make any of these combos, you will get the corresponding boost. So for overall, if you were to put 3 Anaheim Ducks together, that specific line will get a +2 overall boost. If you were to go a Blackhawk, a Finn, and a Blackhawk on one line, you will get a +2 overall boost. It can be in any order, so you don't need a left wing Blackhawk, a Finn center, and a right wing Blackhawk. It can be in any combination. You just have to have those 3 different player types on that line. The other thing to take note of on defense, your goaltender tandem matters. So, for example, if you had 2 Boston Bruin goaltenders, they would get a +2 overall boost to every stat. Now, I want to be clear, you can't have multiple lines of the same combination. So, for example, if you had 2 Boston Bruin goaltenders, as well as 2 Boston Bruin defenders, it will make you choose which one you want. You can't have multiple. So, you can't have an entire team of Boston Bruins or Anaheim Ducks. It is going to make you check a specific line for those upgrades. The other important thing is the overall boost will count for speed and acceleration. So if Alexander Wenberg had a +2 overall boost, his speed would be 87, as would his acceleration. In the last few years of Hockey Ultimate Team, when cards went up in overall, speed was only 0.5, but for the line combination boosts, speed's going up to match it. So +2 overall, even +1, is pretty big. Now, you also have salary cap line combinations. Again, so there'll be a different set of mixture of players that you can make, like 3 Swedes on one line will give you +2 million to the salary cap. Same thing on defense. There'll be different pairs that will give you salary cap relief. Now, this is an early access build, but we've got a $100 million salary cap right now. It is very hard to go over that, especially if you are a no money spent player. And then lastly, you have ability point line combinations. So same situation. If you get 3 Canadians together, and I actually have that option available to him, if I put Dylan Cousins with Carter Verhaeghe and then Connor Zary instead of Matt Zuccarello, you'll see that I get the +3 ability point increase. Now, again, this is early access, so I've actually got 58 ability points available to me now. But if you hit triangle on the lineup screen, it will take you to the ability points once you save your changes, and you'll be able to activate or deactivate any abilities you have. Again, this is an early access build. I would anticipate when the game releases that it should be less than 10 when it comes to total ability points available to you. Now, by hitting right trigger or left trigger, you can change the lines that you're on. So again, no more confusion about how to change your power play. All you've got to do is quick swap on the players and you'll be able to switch them out right there. Same thing with penalty kill and 3-man penalty kill. You can all just see it front facing. This is a very clean menu system. It's nothing flashy, but I think it is much better. You've got your 3v3 lines, your shootout, your extra attacker, and then team identity. So this is where you would change your logo as well as your jerseys and the arena. Like I mentioned, picking your favorite team will determine your logo and jerseys to start. Lastly, if you create a second lineup, which I'll show you how to do, you just have to hold down left trigger and it will pull up all of the starting lineup options for you. Instead of having to go back and actually to the change menu screen, change the team that you've got, and then back into your edit lineup screen, you can do it all in one screen, which is a nice quality of life improvement. The last thing I want to say about line combinations is that these set line combinations are what will be the combos for that season. So Early Access and Season 1 will have these combos. Once the new season kicks over, they will be completely different, which is very important because if you invest everything into trying to get these boosts, the next season will more than likely make them all useless. Something to keep in mind. All right, now let's talk about navigating with this menu system. Again, there are a few things I think will take some getting used to. By holding down the left trigger, you'll be able to choose whatever mode that you want to play. So the new Cup Chase, which is replace squad battles. Competitive is replacing rivals. It also has Hut Champs, but we're a few weeks out from that. You're able to select Wild Card, which is back, Hut Moments, and then just casual versus the CPU or versus your friends. So all you've got to do is pick the mode you want, hit X on it, and that will bring you to that mode specifically. But let's get into the XP path, which makes its return. By clicking in the left thumbstick, you'll be able to view the XP path, and it's going to operate just like it did in NHL 25. Now, this is an early access XP path, so it can be subject to change, but it's what we've come to expect. There's a lot of different lower overall packs, as well as some coins mixed in, but if you are able to get to tier 15 at 78,000 XP during the early access, you will get an 83 overall alumni player item, which is pretty important, but we'll get into how to use that a little bit later on. And we've also got the bonus XP tiers, which are returning. Unfortunately, these are still not repeatable. So once you complete the XP path at tier 15, at 88,000, you will get your first bonus tier. And essentially, you can go all the way up to 128,000 during the early access XP path, and it will give you 5 76 and above overall player items. But let's take a look at the new mode in Cup Chase. So when you select Cup Chase from the main menu, you can hit start, and that will start your season. You can select which difficulty you want to play on, and it will determine the level of packs that you are going to be working towards. My recommendation is early on in the game. If you are someone that struggled playing against the Superstar AI in prior NHL games, I would probably go a little bit safer here and not go with Superstar, because going undefeated is important. So select a difficulty that you're pretty confident with. Don't forget that early on, your team is absolutely brutal. So it actually will be a challenge for even Division 2 and 1 players on Superstar throughout the entirety of the run. But once you've selected your difficulty, that will kick off your first Cup Chase. Let's talk about what you're working towards here. So there is 10 teams in the league, and you've got 3 big goals. 1, making the playoffs. 2, winning the cup, and 3 is going undefeated, which again is why I would recommend for your first Cup Chase, choose a difficulty that you are very confident you can win every game on. Now, when it comes to the teams you're going to be going up against, it will vary, but they are going to be far better than your team because your base starter team has cards in the low 70s. They've got a couple cards in the 80s, but it's usually the goaltender that's going to have the biggest impact because your shooting stats are going to be so low, it is going to be tough to score, especially from far out on anyone that has an 80 and above overall goaltender. So something just to keep in mind. So by completing Cup Chase games, you will also work towards the XP path. You'll get your standard coins, as well as work towards objectives. More on that in a minute. So once you've played some games, the standings will update. And again, the top 4 make the playoffs. Making the playoffs is one of the rewards. But again, your main focus should be to try and go undefeated. This is an early access build, and the packs are subject to change. So we don't have exact confirmation of how good these rewards actually are. The big benefit to Cup Chase and the rewards that you can earn in it is that this is repeatable. You can do Cup Chase as much as you want. Now, obviously, to get all 3 rewards on every single run, you are going to need to go undefeated. It's an 18-game regular season, followed by 2 rounds of best-of-3 playoff series. So if you were to go undefeated, 22 total games to get all 3 of the rewards, again, if you were to go undefeated. Now, at any time, if you have lost and you want to restart your run, simply hit square or X, depending on the console you're on. You can restart your Cup Chase, and then you can choose the difficulty and start all over again. So again, we'll have to wait and see just how good these rewards are, but it is a big upgrade over squad battles, in my opinion, simply because you could just do this at your own pace. If you want to play a ton because you're an offline player, you could just keep getting rewards. There's no waiting an entire week to get the squad battle rewards or the objective path to reset. Now, our next mode is competitive. So this is replacing rivals, but it works very similar. By hitting square on the main menu, it will pull up the ranked rewards, you start out in Bronze 1. Now, this entire reward path will stay in the game until the start of the next season. I don't anticipate that it will reset after early access. I think this is going to remain until Season 2. Again, that's all subject to change. Now, it is a little confusing, but I'll try and break it down as simple as possible. Every win that you get in Ranked will fill one of the boxes below whatever tier you're in. So if you are in Bronze 1 and you win your first game, you'll move up into Bronze 2, and you'll see the small box fill in, indicating how many wins you've got. As you continue to win, you'll fill the boxes of each reward path, unlocking the next one, and so on and so forth. Now, the big thing here is that if you lose, you will not go back down. So if you make it to Gold 1 and you lose a few games, you will not go back into Silver 3 and then have to work your way back up to get the Ranked Gold 2 reward pack. When it comes to who you'll match up with, I believe it's players in the same tier as you. So what will happen inherently is the players that are at the top end of the game will fly through this because you're going to win more games than you lose until you hit your plateau and you're matching up against other players around your skill level. However, this does look to be cumulative. So you are going to be able to get the Ranked Ultimate Reward Pack regardless if you're a Division 1 player or a Division 4 player. You're just going to have to play more to win more games because obviously you are going to lose more along the path as you grind than someone who is in Division 1 usually. And again, this is going to reset every new season. Now, the good thing about the new competitive reward path is that all of the rewards are immediate. Now, when you are in the ranked menu screen, if you hit R1 or RB, you'll move over to the champion section. Again, Hut Champs is not active during early access, so we'll have to wait until our first season of Hut Champs. My favorite thing about the new menu system is that once you select competitive or whatever mode you want, you literally just have to hit X or A in the bottom right. You'll notice that it just immediately takes you in to the matchmaking screen. I talked about this when they showed this off. It just shaves off like 6 extra clicks and gets you into the game faster. So really do love that. Now, don't forget, if you hit L2, you will open up your matchmaking settings, and you can raise this higher or lower depending on what you want to set your maximum average ping to. I would always try and find out what your lowest is, depending on the server you connect to, and then set it at that. There is no skill rating search parameters. The rank that you're in will determine who you are going to match up with. Bronze will match with bronze, silver will match with silver, and so on and so forth. The last thing when it comes to ranked is that for the first time, it looks like we've got a cross-console leaderboard. If you hit start on the main menu screen, it'll pull up the leaderboard, and you can select whatever one you want, but you'll notice that there is Xbox and PlayStation players all on the same screen. It does look like it is only going to show the division that you're in, so if you're in bronze, it'll show bronze players, and so on and so forth. Next, let's take a look at Wildcard. Now, Wildcard was introduced in NHL 25, and it remains largely unchanged from last year's game. Once you've selected Wildcard, you can hit triangle to draft your team, and you'll build a lineup that has to fit under the salary cap. So once you're ready to draft the team, just remember you have to stay under the salary cap while you're making your selections. It does look like they are giving you options to try out some of the new Master Set player items. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because I will have in-depth breakdowns of every single event, including Fresh Ice. So if you want to test out any of the Master Set player items, this is the perfect spot to do it. I'm actually going to go with Nikolai Ehlers. His card early on is just cracked. And then I'll try out Tyler Seguin to fill out my forward line. On defense, I do have Brock Faber as an option, but I'll be over the cap. I'll go with Jamie Drysdale and Ethan Bear to save some salary cap room. And then for goalies, because these are all higher than the salary cap, go to Wildcard, and we'll just use Joseph Wall for my team, as he's got a low enough salary cap hit that I'll be able to fit him in the lineup. Once you're happy with your draft, hit start, and that will register your team. And now you're ready to play Wildcard, whether it's offline or online. Now let's take a look at the reward path by hitting square. It will open up the dedicated Wildcard reward path. This is going to operate almost identical to how Wildcard did in NHL 25 as the year went along. You're basically just earning collectibles for whatever event is out. And sometimes these will change and they'll offer different packs and things like that. But for the most part, they're going to just give you collectibles for whatever event is currently out. Our first event is Fresh Ice. Now, if you hit start on the Wildcard menu screen, it will pop up what you're actually doing in Wildcard for this reset. It looks like we've got 1 3-minute period that will have you playing 5-on-5 with a 3-on-3 overtime and a shootout. Now, just like when Wildcard was introduced, when you go to play the game, you can choose offline or online. Remember, if you lose, you will get half of the points that you could have earned. So if you play offline and choose the Superstar difficulty, you're getting 600 points if you win the game. You'll get 300 if you lose. And then it drops down from All-Star, Pro, and so on and so forth. I said this last year, even if you are a brand new player and you don't play online really, this is a great way to test out your abilities online. I know a lot of offline players that are kind of scared away from playing online competitive play. Wildcard, even if you lose, you get the same amount of points you would as if you won on All-Star against the CPU. So you can fly through it quite quickly. Now, there are also objectives in Wildcard. These are pretty basic. Winning 3, 4, and 5 games in a row will give you additional XP. Not super important, but just a little bonus. Our last mode that offers rewards is Hut Moments. Again, not much has changed when it comes to Hut Moments, but I will touch on what you should focus on. There are event moments for Fresh Ice. By completing these, you will get a couple thousand coins, as well as a few 77 overall player items that are untradeable, and a 79 overall Fresh Ice player, which you can use to work towards the event. More on that in just a little bit. You've also got training camp moments to kick things off. This will have you doing things to just learn how to play the game. You're not really going to earn a lot of rewards. As you can see, through the first 4, you're essentially earning 100 coins each, which isn't really anything. And then you'll get a rookie camp pack. Again, a lot of these are on rookie. You've got 1 on pro and 1 on semi-pro. It's essentially just teaching you the mechanics of the game. When you get to one that says get stick checks with any player, a poke check won't count. You've got to actually use X or A and do a stick lift. This one can be kind of frustrating, especially for newer players. You also don't need to complete both moments to unlock the next one. So you don't need to make 3 saves as well as making a desperation save. You just have to do one of them and the next one will unlock. You just won't get the full rewards from that specific moment. And then lastly, you've got division moments for each of the 4 divisions. These are going to operate exactly the same. They will go up in difficulty all the way up to Superstar, but by completing these, you'll get a few hundred coins, as well as a Hut Moment collectible, 2 of them for each division. I will have a video that will break down the best way to start your team and the things that you want to go after first. Moments is almost always number 1, but you essentially have the same chase on all 4 of the divisions, and it will give you multiple Hut Moments collectibles. Now let's go over objectives. So from the main menu, you hit right trigger, and it will open up your objectives screen just like in years past. You are going to have daily objectives where you've got to complete a few tasks, like scoring goals with any player, 5 of them. That'll give you 500 XP, so on and so forth, and you will get a daily objective pack for completing all of these every day. You've got XP objectives. These are going to help you get through the XP path for whatever season that we are in, so they are always important to complete. So for early access, if you complete 5 daily objectives, which means you'll need at least 5 days, take 100 shots in any mode, 25 goals with any player, again in any mode. This includes Hut Moments, completing 10 games. By completing these 4 objectives, you'll get an additional 13,000 XP on top of the 32,000 you'll earn from completing each one of these individual objectives. So by just completing this objective path, you'll be sitting at tier 11 and over halfway to getting to the final tier during early access. That's why it's so important to make sure that you look at those XP objectives, because that doesn't even include the experience you're going to earn while playing the game. Now, on top of the early access XP objectives, you also have Hut Moments for week 1, where you'll be getting experience towards the XP path, again, by just completing Hut Moments. If you complete 20, you'll get 4,000 XP, and you'll be able to knock this out regardless because it's where you should put your focus early on. Next, we have the events objectives. These are objectives that are going to help you acquire collectibles and other various items that will help you get towards creating master set player items from whatever event is currently out. They will scale up in cost throughout the year, so completing the objectives for that event is really going to be necessary to try and help you acquire these high-end cards easier. So by taking a look at this objective path to start things out, by completing 5 games of any mode, including Hut Moments, you will get a Fresh Ice collectible. By completing 5 sets, you are going to get an 82 overall Fresh Ice Mikael Granlund. Now, this is something you should put a focus on early because Mikael Granlund, as we saw on our starter team, is going to be one of our best players right off the rip. But more importantly, you're going to have objectives where you're going to need to be doing specific things with event items. So, for the Fresh Ice objectives, you are going to need to make passes with any Fresh Ice player item in any mode. That's going to give you another collectible. You need to get 25 hits with a Fresh Ice player item. These, however, when it says any mode, can be done in moments. It's almost always more advantageous when you get objectives that say any mode to go and do these in the moments while you're trying to knock out these few moments specifically, so you're getting multiple rewards for that event, as well as knocking out the objectives with cards that you don't have yet. Now, the take shots, get assists, score goals, and complete games, that's going to have to be done in either Ranked, Hut Champs, which isn't available yet, or Cup Chase. So it is important to get as many Fresh Ice player items in your lineup to help you acquire all of these remaining collectibles. So by completing all of these objectives, you're going to end up with 19 Fresh Ice collectibles, as well as the 82 overall Mikael Granlund. And by completing the entire thing, you're also going to get an 81 overall Fresh Ice Evangelista. Something to note is that it is labeled as untradeable, which means that you can actually use this card for sets to make Master Set player items. And again, you can also throw them in your lineup to help work towards other objectives. When it comes to the milestone objectives, this is just stuff you're going to passively get throughout the year. For the daily reward packs, this is just logging in, that pack that you get hit with when you open the mode. Every 5 days, you're just going to get 2,000 coins, and as you can see, this goes on throughout the whole year. Nothing that you can really grind for, it's just an added bonus for logging in. You've got one for completing objectives, so every time that you actually complete an objective from any other list. For this one, it's capped at 25 currently, and it'll earn you another 2,500 coins. We have the Season 0, the Early Access Milestone Objective Path, which is, again, very simple to complete. When it says any mode, you can get that done in moments. It will not take you long at all. You don't even need to try. And by completing that, you'll get an Early Access Milestone Pack. You then have Early Access Cup Chase objectives. These are going to take a little bit more time, but they are going to give you Cup Chase collectibles. And I'll show you what to do with these collectibles in just a minute. Lastly, we've got the training camp objectives. Again, very simple to complete. Completing 6 games in Cup Chase, completing 12 games in any mode, and then completing 1 set, you'll get 1,500 coins, another 1,000 for completing the entire thing, and a 77 overall player item. All right, now on to the sets. This is going to be how you create the top-end content in the game, and we're going to start all the way at the back with the Hut Moments NHL Circuit sets. The screen hits like a flashbang, but by trading in Hut Moment collectibles, you'll have various options to you. For 8, you can trade in a 75 and above overall player item. When it says untradeable, it means that you can't sell it in the auction house for coins, but you can send it into sets, so that is very important. For 6 Hut Moments collectibles, you'll get an 82 overall BND player item. Now, an 82 overall might sound appealing to you. I wouldn't recommend this ever. BND means that it is account bound. You cannot put it into sets. You cannot sell it. You are essentially just locked into that card. All you can do is use them in your lineup. And obviously, the game is going to progress. 82 overalls are not going to be useful as we go along. You can trade in 6 collectibles for an 80 overall player that is untradeable, 6 for an 78 overall player that is tradable, and then finally, you can trade in 2, and that will give you an 80 overall account-bound player item. Again, the thing here would be to just get a little bit better lineup, but wouldn't recommend it. And remember, how you get those collectibles is by doing these Hut Circuit Moment paths. You'll see in every single one, you'll get a Hut Moments collectible every 4 wins you've got to complete it. So with 4 divisions, you get 2 each division. You've got a total of 8 collectibles you can get. All right, now on to the Cup Chase sets. This is where you're going to be using your Cup Chase collectibles from that objective path. You've got a couple of options here. For 5 Cup Chase collectibles, you can get a bronze ring pack. And then as you go on down the line, it will cost more for the better packs. The final pack is the Gold Choice Players Pack for 35 collectibles. You will need to complete all of the Cup Chase objective lists to earn all of the collectibles required to complete that 35 collectible trade-in set. Next, we've got exchange sets. These are back, but they're much more simple. You've got the player exchanges. This is going to be important in my opinion. So we start down at 75 overall. You trade in 70 to 73 overall player items, and that will give you a 70 overall player pack, where you'll get one card that is 75 overall, and it is untradeable. The next set is 76 to 77, so you would trade in 74 to 75 items, and you would get a 76 to 77 overall player pack. Moving on down the line, you've got a 78 to 79 overall player set, 80 to 81, and then finally 82 to 83. Again, more on these in just a little bit. All right, next up, we've got captains. Okay, so you do get a free captain when you start your team. But if you want to make any of the other captain cards from this season, you can go ahead and do so. So if you wanted to make Patrik Laine, but you chose Mackenzie Weegar, you would need to trade in 5 79 to 81 overall items to get Patrik Laine's captain card. Following the captains, we have the heroes. So this is where you are going to make any of the seasonal heroes. And again, these will drop every time there is a new season. So our first set of heroes, I will have a video going over in detail the ones I'd recommend taking, but you've got Rob Blake from the LA Kings, Zdeno Chara from the Boston Bruins, Alex Hemsky from the Oilers, Jeremy Roenick from the Blackhawks, Keith Tkachuk from the St. Louis Blues, and Marcus Naslund from the Vancouver Canucks. Now, these are quite expensive, especially at launch. So let's say you wanted to get Alex Hemsky. You will need to trade in 5 81 to 83 overall alumni player items. So it can only be alumni items. It cannot be base items. So you are going to need 81 to 83 overall alumni items. And I have a feeling that these are going to be quite expensive, especially at launch. Now, if you don't have any of the alumni, you can actually create them. So the first set here, trade in 79 to 80 overall alumni items, and that is going to give you an 81 overall alumni player. And then again, you take that 81 overall player item that you make, and you can throw them into these sets. Again, you need 5 of them. So my recommendation, hold on to 79 and above overall alumni items, especially at launch of the game. I would not be selling them or trading them in. Wait and see what their value is on the auction house. So the heroes drop essentially replaces team builders, and icons now work quite differently as well. Just like the heroes, every season we are going to get a new drop of icons, and these are some of the best cards in the game. They are also among the most expensive. Now, your 6 icons for Season 1 is the 86 overall Chris Chelios, Sergei Fedorov, who is now back in the game, Henrik Lundqvist from the New York Rangers, Chris Pronger from the St. Louis Blues, Teemu Selanne from the Anaheim Ducks, and then Joe Thornton from the San Jose Sharks. Now, these are extremely expensive. These will require 583 to 85 overall alumni items to make any of the icons. So again, this is going to take quite some time for no money spent players. This is why completing the XP path in the early access is rather important. You'll knock down one of the 83 overall alumni players required to make an icon. But just like the hero sets, you can make an 83 overall alumni item by trading in 81 to 82 overall alumni players. So if you wanted to bypass the heroes and go right to creating icons, what you would do is you would go to the hero sets, trade in your 79 and 80 overall alumni items to get an 81 overall alumni player, go over to the icon sets, and then you would throw in the 81 you got from the hero set into here to make an 83 overall alumni player. Again, very expensive, but these cards, like I mentioned, are the best in the game. If you pre-order the deluxe edition, you are going to get an icon and hero choice pack. Again, I will have a full video breaking down my recommendations if you are trying to build the best team. Always choose your favorite players, guys. I promise you, it is always going to be more satisfying performing with that player than by choosing something else that is just slightly better in the meta. And then we've got event sets. The first event is the Fresh Ice event. As you can see the timer down below, these are limited time sets. So you've got a lot going on here, but essentially this is how you create the master set player items. And your master set player items for the first release of the Fresh Ice event, you've got the 84 overall Brock Faber, the 84 Morgan Riley, Tyler Seguin from the Dallas Stars, Logan Thompson from the Washington Capitals, and our cover athlete, the 84 overall Matthew Tkachuk. So to make one of these player items, you will need to trade in 3 81 to 83 overall Fresh Ice player items, as well as 2 additional 81 to 83 overall items from any release. It could be a base card, could be an alumni, it could be anything. Here is the pathing to make these cards. You will go over to this set, the 79 overall Fresh Ice set, and you will trade in 3 77 to 78 overall items, and that is going to give you a 79 overall Fresh Ice player. Once you've done that, you go over to the 81 overall Fresh Ice set, and you will trade in your 79 overall item. You will need 3 of them to get an 81 overall. And then you take those 81 overalls from the event, and this is where you throw them in. So something of note, you want to take a look at every event at what the barrier of entry is. So the barrier of entry for the Fresh Ice event is a 77 overall player item. You need at least 3 of them to get a Fresh Ice player, and then so on and so forth. So this is important and why I brought up the exchange sets. So if you go over to the exchange player sets, this set right here, the 74 and above set is a little rough, because you trade in 74 to 75 overall items, and you're going to get a 76 to 77 overall player. You obviously need it to be a 77, but for anything under 77 overall, you need to be throwing into these sets. So if you get a bunch of 76 overall items, you need to throw it into this set. Don't throw 77s, just 76s, and so on and so forth, because at the current release, anything below a 77 overall is not going to be able to turn into anything. Now, lastly, you have collectible sets. So this is what you're going to do with those collectibles that we earned from the wildcard path, as well as the event objective list. You're earning collectibles from both of those. That's really going to be your main source of collectibles. The last place that you can earn collectibles is the store. You go over to the Hut store, and then you tab over to whatever the event is. So it's currently Fresh Ice. All the way at the end, there is a daily event pack. You can do this every single day. You want to make sure you log in and get this if you were trying to make a Master Set player item. So you click on the daily event pack. It's going to give you 5 collectibles and a random item. Why that's important is because you take the Fresh Ice collectibles that you get, and you've got 3 options here. So for 5 collectibles, or really the 5 that you just got from the daily pack, you can turn that into a 75 and above overall player item. But since if you get a 75 or 76 overall player, it's essentially useless, I wouldn't really recommend doing this. The second set is a 77 and above overall player. However, in brackets, you see the BND, that means it's account bound. So it can go in your lineup, but you can't use it towards anything else. Again, would not recommend using this set. You essentially want to save all of your collectibles for this one here. It is the most important. So for 30 Fresh Ice collectibles, you will get an 81 overall Fresh Ice player. You need 3 of those specific cards to make a Master Set player item. So if you open the daily pack every single day, that's enough to get 1 completely for free. That's why it's important to make sure you go and get that pack every day. The wildcard path has 22 Fresh Ice collectibles in it. This usually resets every week. So if it stays the same, you'll be able to get 44. And then if you complete the objective list, you'll get an additional 19. And again, if you do it every week, that's 38. Also, don't forget, you'll get an 81 overall Fresh Ice Evangelista. So by just doing this, you'll be able to get the 381 to 83 overall Fresh Ice players without using any of your collection. And expect almost every event to operate like this, but make sure you subscribe, because I will have full event breakdown videos if they ever change it up, or you want to know the cheapest way to get these cards. The last thing about sets, because I know that a lot of you are wondering, when you are trying to fill a set, you can hit L3 and you will autofill. You can choose from your collection, and it will autofill whatever cards you have available in your collection into that set. If you don't want to put this card into this set, you hit square and it will send it back to the collection. Now, last year there was an issue where they essentially broke the ability to multi-select. Unfortunately, I apologize, at the current time, multi-select is completely gone. It is not even an option. So I'm hoping that they rectify this throughout the year and bring back multi-select. It became extremely frustrating, and it looks like that's going to remain at least at the launch of the game. When it comes to the auction house, it is operating almost exactly the same as it has in the past. If you hit triangle, you can access any of the filters on the left-hand side. If you want to look up just alumni, for example, you can go ahead and do so. If you are ever looking to buy a specific card what you want to do is click on that card and then go down to compare price. And that will allow you to see all of that player items cards listed so you can pick the cheapest one. And the last thing I want to show you guys is in the My Team tab, you can go over to My Collection, and this is where you see all of the cards available in game. If you click on event items, you can go in and see all of the different events. This is where you're going to be able to click on the cards. Just right click in on the right thumbstick, and you are going to pull up the cards information. This is where it is all separated. And if you just want to see the cards in your collection, hit triangle, and it will pull up every single one of the cards that you have available to you in your collection. All right, that was a ton, but that is how the game is going to work at launch. If you are looking for the best way to start your team, if you are looking to build a competitive team, or looking for the best cards to make from the Fresh Ice event, as well as all of the pre-order bonuses, I'll have videos that will walk you through everything you need to know. Thank you guys again for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. It's time for NHL 26.